Yo, what's up, guys? Hey,
What's up? What's up? Good evening.
how are you?
Pretty good. I don't know why my profile shows two people. I'm only signed into one, but I will fix that.
I see that. All right, we'll just give it a few minutes before we get standing here, and then we'll get started.
Yo, yo. Can everybody hear me? Hold on.
Yes, sir.
There we go. Sorry for being late. Just rolled up in the house. Had a showing to be at for a commercial space, so apologize. How's everybody doing today?
Gucci, man. Don't worry about it. It's all good, bro. We're Gucci.
Thanks for holding it down as always.
No problem. Yeah, let's just give it a few minutes to get some more people in here. I just posted it on a lot of websites and social media. So we'll get some more people in here.
Okay, cool.
How was your showing?
It was good. Big industrial space for a potential gym client.
Oh, that's right.
So yeah.
Alex Ramosi.
Ha, I wish, man.
Yeah.
I went to the event yesterday. Ryan Pineda's event.
Or was it at?
It was at the Mirage.
Awesome stuff. How'd that go?
Yeah.
I seen you there, like on your social media. How'd it go?
Yeah, it was good. Made some good contacts, met some new sub 2 students. I connected with one that actually he met up with me earlier today. He wanted to make some content, so he's kind of like on the same situation where he's a commercial agent too, but he wants to be more focused on commercial, doesn't want to be selling on the residential side, just because obviously, it's emotional, right? So yeah, we connected really well, and then we're just game planning on how we can create more commercial content for the space. And I think that's really what's missing right now. There's a lot of people that's creating content in real estate, but not tailored to commercial, right? On the leasing side,
Sure.
or even just educational. So we're trying to disrupt the space by adding our twist to it and knowing what we know already, how to market and whatnot. Just utilize our skill set that we currently know and just networking that way. Because the way that we see it is, it's a win-win situation for everybody, right? Whoever that we're going to be doing a walkthrough with the space, that broker will get content. We're not charging them anything. We just want to use the space to get content for it, really.
Right. No, that makes sense. That's cool. Yeah, because everybody's doing single family home. Everybody out there. Even like very simple content is getting picked up, it's getting looked at, it's even getting sold. Like people have mentorships with really minimal like really minimalistic educational modules, and people are buying them left and right. People are just jumping into stuff like that, and they get sold. So the more that you make content, the actual like the actuality of it being enhanced and being better and being beneficial because it's actually good content will then eventually get you the amount of users and viewers to look at you at the same time. Eventually, I don't know, you can put those videos together and sell it in a mentorship or something.
Yep, exactly. That's the whole goal, at least for us. But let me figure out why this is. I'm switching over
Like,
my
as soon
side.
as I get a media team, I'm gonna just like all of the zooms I do, I'm just gonna have them cropped or whatever. All these different types of videos that I do, because I try to record everything now, just because I do have like a mastermind and mentorship, and I'm like, might as well, like, you're basically the content. If you're talking all day every day about business, there's probably going to be a lot of good stuff that should just be recorded so you can put it out there.
Mhm. Yeah, right now I'm running my camera right now. When I get started, I'll press record, but I think that's what I was missing the whole time. Just like,
You're missing for yourself. Yeah, I mean, I have all the videos, but you're missing like for yourself, like for your own videos, so that you can crop it with your own video camera instead of the Zoom camera, and then you can do all your little edits. Like, yeah, for sure, you're missing that.
Yeah, I like the new content I've been putting out.
I see it, bro. That's like you can in one video, you could probably get like 10 videos.
Wait, hold on, you were choppy. I couldn't hear what you were saying.
I said in one video, like in one educational Zoom, right? If you're the coach, there's probably going to be 5 to 10 snippet clips for you to take from that and then post them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just wanted to chime in. TikTok is really great for those snippets, as well as, the typical YouTube. So if you're really looking to get some traction and get out there, definitely TikTok. There's tons of, I know other agents that use it too as well.
Yeah, I just reactivated my TikTok account. So if you guys want to follow me on there, I'll put it on my side chat for you guys.
It's a pain to know the whole algorithm that they use, once you get used to it. I'm pretty sure Ryan Pineda, he's probably more experienced at it than I know.
Did you start a business TikTok? Because you can post longer content with the business TikTok.
Yeah, I believe I did. And it's funny that you say that about Ryan Pineda. I was actually looking at his content on TikTok. He doesn't get a lot of views on there because I think he's just pushing volume versus pushing the times that should be posted. And that's what I'm kind of learning with this space right now is really, the algorithm in TikTok is very different from Instagram and different from Facebook and different from YouTube Shorts, right? There's certain times that you gotta really post between the certain times, and then that's what I'm learning at least. But yeah, if you guys want to follow that content, I'm putting it up where it's just really short, fast clips. Just try to get people's attention and stuff. So, all right, let me open up some of the files. When you want to We still got some people rolling in. Bro, Carlos,
What up, though?
dude, funny yesterday, right? So I was at the event and I was about to grab water inside. Mina, that comes to our class, Mina Solomon, dude, he taps me in the shoulder. He's like, yo, are you Stan Lopez? And I was just like, I looked at his name tag. I was like, no shit. Dude, it was just so freaking random. He was there because he was there for like the last few days for that Tykes event.
How cool is that shit?
But, dude, that was so cool. It was so random too.
Yeah, it's gonna happen a lot more with social media. Like check it out. Like here's the reality. Me being a closer or being in acquisitions and being so new and just getting a feel for this industry. And I see other people who are all over social media that have huge social media following and they're named closers. And I'm like, bro, they're like not even that good of a closer. And other people deem them as great closers. Not that I knock them down. I'm just like, well, that guy doesn't seem like he can close at a higher level than I can. Not that I'm egotistic, but they have huge follow bases. And I'm like, shit, dude, like, okay, cool. Like, I know that in a year from now, if I only have, 15, 17, 1,800 followers, I'm probably going to have 10,000 by the end of the year. And then it's just going to blow up from there. And so content is easy way for you to get seen if you're active as shit. If you're really active and you're making it look nice and juicy and you're tailoring it to certain people, because obviously you're going to have real estate investors notice you, not like the average Joe person, right? It's not like somebody else who's not investing in real estate is really watching multi-level, like single family home or multi-family home underwriting. You get me?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool, brother.
All right. We got some
All right,
new
give me a
people in
host.
here. Yeah. All right, let's get started. It's 3:15, 3:16. We got some new people in here. Met this guy named Andrew. Andrew, turn on your camera. Say what's up. You guys can unmute yourself. If you guys are new to here, do me a favor, just raise up your hand or turn your camera so I can see your guys' faces. Don't be shy. I don't want to be the only one on camera. There we go. We got Mason on there. Bro, I'm meeting so many different Lopez's. So weird. Our name is so common.
Either that or we're just multiplying too much.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, that's what it is. Lopez
Jen,
is
we got-
like in all types of like ethnicities, like Filipino, Mexican, Hawaiian now, yes. So it's like Lopez is everywhere now.
Yeah, for sure. Jen, welcome back. Jen's always here. I love it. Thanks for always showing up. We got Michael Brown. Did I meet you before? Need the new cut.
I'm just hanging around. I love following around Carlos. He's a great speaker, so I love to stick around, grab that knowledge,
Yeah, man. You'll learn some stuff in here.
Thank you.
Antonio's back. I recognize Antonio. Who's Mason's Fathom note taker?
It's Mason's friend.
Oh,
Nah.
okay.
No, I'm just playing. I don't know. I don't know.
Gotcha. And then we got
Who's
Kelly Lil.
that though? Who is the other Mason in here? Mason's Fathom note taker.
That's me, bro. I'm using
Oh, it is.
it's an app within Zoom that allows you to API basically takes notes for me and I can just highlight what I think is good. And I was actually going to try to be a benefit to any of the Zooms that we're doing. That way we can
Oh,
share
that's
stuff.
fucking fire.
Yo, that's
Go back.
crazy.
That way you don't have to go back and like rewatch the
That's
whole
what's
thing.
up.
I can just bookmark each little thing and then just
That's what's
share
up.
the clips. I'll share the clips with you guys for sure.
Bro, that's so
Love it.
fire. Yeah, let's talk about that after this. So we can use
Okay.
that.
Okay, perfect. We got Andrew right there. I just met Andrew this week at an event. Thanks for showing up, brother. So
What's
Andrew's
up?
brand new. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Andrew, because I know I just met you this past Wednesday.
I'm new to the whole real estate space. I'm still asleep. Sorry, I'm still waking up.
Brother, it's already 3:20 in the afternoon. You're still waking up.
I work overnight, so I don't wake up till like 9 tonight.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, thanks for making it. Appreciate it. Then we got Janaea. Who's Janaea? Am I pronouncing that right, or am I making a mistake? And then we got Elio, Kelly Love, and Johnson Jameson. Thanks for showing up, guys. All right, so let's get started. On the right side, if you guys haven't seen it yet, it's the document for the Powerhouse. This is the template that we always use for the spreadsheet. There we go. So this spreadsheet is for you guys. I'm going to share my screen. Give me a second. Let me figure this out. I update it pretty frequently, as you notice. 1-7 is the most recent update that I have for this calculator. And this is like the best calculator I've ever pretty much come into when it comes to underwriting. It's very simple in the sense of the layout, the structure, and just kind of it's very readable. Obviously, if you guys are brand new, you guys haven't done any underwriting, the way to use this calculator is anything in the blue, you can type in manually and adjust. Anything in the black and the red, it's automatically calculated. So there is dynamic formulas in here. Do not touch it. Don't erase it. All you got to do is make a file, go to file, make a copy. Give me a second. There you go. Yeah, so you're going to just make a file, go to file, make a copy, and then you'll have a copy of it. But time after time, come back here. You'll notice that whenever I update it, I'll update the date so that you guys will have a new version of it. Let's see what have. All right. So this is one of the new things I added to this calculator for you guys. This is more for the creative finance, but it also gives you options to see different types of down payments that a seller wants. So what I did with this one, just to kind of let you guys know, whatever you punch in here on this sheet that I'm showing you right now, which is the MF valuation, it is tied into this sell-fi options tab on row C. So everything in here, you see how the calculation on the top says equals, and then it says MF valuation. That means it's tied into the last tab. So only change things in blue, but this is kind of that version another sub two student created, and then I just implemented it into this particular spreadsheet. So you guys have this now, and it'll help you guys do any type of creative financing. If there is, let's say, a first position or a second position in there, you can type in those different numbers. The third tab is another one, which is also another seller financing, a hybrid formulas that I created as well. You can use this if you guys just want like a straight up answer for that particular deal. You can just put it in here. This is going to be your financing information. This is first position, second position. If there is a creative finance, you can activate the seller finance portion, which is considered as a hybrid, and you can just turn it off where it says include this loan. If you press this and it's checked off, if you see this side of the chart, right, it turns off and turns on. So those are all calculated as well. And obviously all these return metrics also change if you do that. So there might be some kinks or some bugs in it, possibly. I still check this once in a while just to make sure that everything works out. But if you do find something, do let me know and we can circle back on it. I'll fix it. All right, so that's that. Just got that out of the way. Let me close some of these windows. So hopefully you guys are utilizing this spreadsheet for you guys. Has anybody in the class today, have any of you guys used the spreadsheet on any deals? And if so, do you guys want to share it today so we can look at it? Any deals you guys underwritten? No? Okay. All right, so let me give you guys another resource. Let's get this going. Second. I'm going to send you guys a Word document. I'm just pulling it up right now.
Hey Stan, it's Jim. Would you mind reposting the new sheet? My computer logged me out and logged me back in. I would appreciate it, please.
I got you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. All right, here we go. That's the sheet. And then we have the resources right here.
Recording in progress.
Andrew, this is already being recorded, so if you, we can give you the link once it's all done. You don't have to record it. Just letting you know. All right, so here's did I share that one already? Yep. Here we go. Here's the other sheet. That's the resources. Okay. And then I'm going to drop another one. Give me some feedback for anyone that's been here before. Any feedback on the resources that you guys like or dislike? Have you guys used any of the resources I'm giving you guys?
I have. It's really, really great. I'm still learning how to use it correctly. My biggest thing is the return metrics
Okay.
section. Um,
Mhm.
Is it supposed to change colors or is it just
Yep.
change? It is.
Yes. Yeah. So the way that I program, you're talking about here, right? When it
Yeah.
changes
Oh,
the
you know what?
colors.
I probably have an outdated one. That's probably what it is.
Yeah, so update it.
Okay, cool.
So what Mason's talking about is the conditional formatting that I've given it. So when it does hit the target metrics, it does change colors. And then the way that I actually changed the levered IRR is to match this color coding. So if it turns red, then it's an opportunistic type of property based on the percentage. If it's a value added, it'll turn orange and so forth. So if I change this to, let's say, 2.4 million or 2.4 million, obviously it's not going to change colors. But if I do something, let's see, 15.5, okay, so it's still in the negative. Let's change it so that I'm just showing this as an example real quick so you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about. 75, let's value 65. Oops. My mouse is doing some weird stuff because I just updated, so it's giving me some weird scrolling back and forth. Let's just change it right here. Okay, here we go. So I just changed the price to 500,000. You see how it turned like lime green? Lime green, that means that it hit the target that we're giving it right here at 2. But if, let's say I do 5, then it changes back to white. Okay, so it's just kind of giving you an identification that this is also working, but it also tells you like it's hitting the target that you're giving it. Okay. And then right here, like I said, with the levered IRR, it matches these type of risk and the type of class. So because we're at 41%, the levered IRR, it's considering it as a high risk type of investment, but at that purchase price. So if we do, let's say 750. Okay. It's still at a high risk versus 1 million, or let's say 900. There we go. It's thinking that this would be a class A, which is not, but obviously this is just more of this discrepancy, right? So this is technically a class A, class C property, but I'm just giving you guys an example, so don't get it too mixed up. This is the last one that I'm going to give you guys for resources right here. This is the 7 commercial terms you need to know, or you should know when getting into the multifamily space. These are very common terms that you guys are going to hear, and you guys are going to be using when talking to other investors in the space, commercial brokers, and any of your investor peers, right? Number 1, net operating income. I'm not going to go over the whole entire thing. I'll just go over the main points. The cash and cash return, which is typically like your return of investment, right? And you got your capitalization cap rate. And you got your debt service coverage ratio, DSCR for short, per square foot or per unit, price per unit, price per square foot. And then you have your building classifications, class A, B, C, and D, which is class D is probably something that you probably won't really hear about just because those are like really, really bad, terrible war zone locations and very high risk. And then number 7, obviously the type of leases. The type of leases, this is more pertaining to commercial industrial buildings or shopping plazas. We don't typically use we don't use modified gross lease or triple net for multifamily at all. Okay. And then just bonus terms. Okay. So hopefully that helps. Save that, make a copy for it. These never change. I never update these anymore because this is just pretty much straightforward. Once in a while, I'll update the resource sheet if I find anything else that I feel you guys should use or be using. Okay, but a lot of these are catered to commercial that I wasn't told about until I got into the space and people were giving me these resources. But the main 2 that I always share with you guys as a group is Crexi and LoopNet. These are the 2 websites that you can create an account for. Okay, LoopNet is pretty popular right now that everyone's using, but any type of properties that you guys are looking to invest in, you can find it in here. Obviously, for the free version, they're not going to give you as much info as if you're paying for a paid version, but it'll get you started, and it's more than enough to get you through what you need as far as finding an investment property to underwrite. And that's what you guys are here for, is basically how to underwrite properties, right? So we're going to do one today. I actually underwrote a property. That way you guys can kind of see kind of a over the shoulder look of how to underwrite a deal and how I go about it. So if you use LoopNet, if you guys haven't created your account, create one. This is the property that we're going to look at today. This has seller financing available, and they already tell you that, hey, this owner is open to that. Okay. And a lot of the times you won't really see a lot of seller financing available, but seller financing or creative financing is kind of common in the commercial space. They're more open to it just because investors are a little bit more savvy, right? When it comes to the commercial space, they understand. Some of them don't, but some of them do. And you'd be surprised, some of the agents don't either, and brokers don't. So it's more of really educating them and letting them know or ask them if they're even open to it. But this is already giving us an idea that the seller is open to seller financing. So as you can see on here, it tells you exactly what they're advertising, how many units, okay, what type of property it is, some apartment building. They're giving you the price per unit. Okay, that's how multifamily is calculated, or motels or hotels, they're considered at price per unit. And then they give you the cap rate that they're trying to sell it at, obviously in the location. They'll give you photos and the highlights and the summary of a specific property. You'll have the broker's information right here. You can simply reach out to them. And then sometimes they attach the attachments, which is what we consider like the offering memorandum. You'll hear it a lot, offering memorandum, or what's the other word, a brochure. It's basically a summary of what the property looks like. So if I open it and I'm not even logged in, right? Can you guys hear my daughter crying? No? Okay. She's crying. So this is the PDF of this property. All right. So it looks nice from the outside. Obviously, it just has brand new paint. Oh, 1 second. What's wrong? Yeah, with me? You gonna do class with me? Look, everyone's watching you. All right. Okay, so right here, to the left, you got the price, right? They give you the price per unit. It's basically the breakdown. You can see it right here. This is what I typically look for at first. Let me give her back real quick because I know she's crying. Give me a second. All right, sorry about that. So if you go look right here, every brochure is going to be very different from each other, depending on who's making it. Okay, so you're going to see everything from here. A lot of the times, this is obviously professionally done, which is what you want. But if you're talking direct to sellers, they're not going to have something like this. Right? Most brokers put this together to help advertise the property, make it look attractive, so the next buyer already knows what to expect. And when it comes to the financials, which is what you're going to see right here, you always want to verify what they're advertising, because they can consider, well, they can advertise it and basically fluff it up, is what we say in the space, right? So you always want to verify and make sure that what they're advertising is what you're getting. And these are just some of the terminologies that you're going to need to know being in the multifamily space. It's very common. Okay, we're going to go over some of those later today. But here it tells us, the actuals versus the pro formas. And actuals means in place, what they're getting their rents as is today. And pro forma is what their future estimation for what they will get for that property in the future at market rent, depending on, what they've done to the property to increase the value and what we consider as a value add. Okay, these are the main points that you typically will see right here to the left. I'm highlighting when it comes to income versus what you're going to get on the estimates. This is very, very short and summarized. When it goes deeper in the financials, you're going to see more of like the breakdowns. If it's professionally managed, they're going to have it. And then they also give you it towards the end. It's more of a glance of what's happening around the city, what, the type of things being built, being developed to attract more people to the state or to the county. Okay, so that's what an OM, offering memoranda, that's what it stands for. Okay, 3 key pieces that you need to remember when you're looking or talking directly to the broker. You need an offering memorandum, you need a T12, which stands for trailing 12 months. And then you also need what we consider as rent rolls. The rent rolls basically is just a breakdown of all the rooms. It gives you the discrepancies, what type of unit mixes there are, if there's any delinquencies in the property, that will have it all recorded on the rent rolls. Okay, so remember those 3 key pieces. All right, so any questions? Okay. So let me open up that file so I can show you guys what it looks like. Second. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to teach you guys is what I do with step number 1. All right, reverse valuation, if you guys want to follow along. Reverse valuation is basically the first step on making sure that the property, the numbers It's basically your back of the napkin type of underwriting. You can do this anywhere. That's why it's considered as back of the napkin. And you want to know these quick formulas because this is going to give you a sense of whether or not this is worth underwriting to go deeper in it with the financials. So as I always teach, you want to know what the market cap rate average for that specific area, right? You have your sub-market and you have your market. Your market is basically the state. So I'm in Nevada, my sub-market is Las Vegas. Okay, the class type that we're going to be underwriting today is a Class C property, which is a motel. It's not multi-family per se of apartment living, but this is more for like a short-term stay or what we consider an extended stay in motels. That's the terminologies that they use. And they typically go by what's called a weekly rate or a daily rate, right? And those numbers are going to be slightly different, but they're basically measured the same way, or we underwrite them very similarly. So for a market cap rate for a Class C building, it's going to be 7.5 in Vegas. And it's pretty common about that throughout most of the markets. Okay, market vacancy, we're always going to account for 5%. You never want to underwrite a property at 100% occupancy. You always want to take into account a 5%. And the reason being is because if you have 100 rooms and they're all fully occupied, you can't raise the rents because you can't test the market, right? That's why you always want to keep 5% open. So let's say right now current rents are $1,000. So if you want to test out if somebody else is willing to pay a higher price at 1,100 and you have all the rooms occupied, how are you going to be able to test that? You can't. So when you underwrite, you always want to make sure that you keep it at 5% in case, but that's normally the trick, right? Out of 100 doors, you want to be able to increase the price, test out one of the rooms. Let's see if we can get 1,100. Great, it rents out. Let's see if we can rent out for $1,200. Great, it rents out. Now you're at 97%. And then obviously you want to keep testing until they don't want to pay anymore. So you're basically testing out the market and seeing if this is still going to be able to apply. But depending on what other factors you have on the property, it'll all differentiate based on your amenities, if you have any, depending on your surrounding competing properties, right? If you have a pool in there in the community, if you have a dog park, if you have storage units, stuff like that. And those amenities would be considered as other income. Okay, so those other incomes generate any type of money, then we're putting that into the other income. But as of right now, we're just going to say 0. Let's use $1,000 as I always do. Okay. And then CapEx budget, short for capital expenditure budget per unit. If we're going to do any type of repairs, how much are we going to be considering? You're going to hear ranges between 5,000, 7,500, 10,000, 12,500, 15,000. Those are pretty much the standard of what you hear from GCs of what they'll do to help you turn around properties from classic to premium. Okay, so let's say it's a $5,000 budget per room. Actually, let's use the numbers for the motel. So we're going to do $997. This is their as is. Okay, and then we're going to use 0 for now because we're assuming that they already did some renovations to the property based on what the photos look like, right? Based on these photos, it looks like it's been renovated. You can see it's fresh paint. So that's how I typically look. And I look at these photos, there's 13 of them. So they look pretty nice. Okay.
So CapEx budget is synonymous with like rehab budget, right?
Yep, exactly. So just to kind of give you guys an idea also, CapEx is your one-time expense versus just your operating expenses, which comes on a monthly basis. It's two different things. So remember, Capital expenditures is you go in there, you're doing it all at one time, taking care of HVAC, taking care of plumbing, anything that, is what we consider as like deferred maintenance. That's your CapEx budget, right? But for something like administration, contract services that you have every single month, that would be considered operating expenses. It's very different. So don't get that confused. All right. So we're going to use 22 units because that's what they have. And then right now, we're going to use 50% expense ratio, assuming that when we buy the property, there's always going to be 50% of expenses going against the income generated by the property. Okay. So once we plug those numbers in, you see how everything gets calculated. Okay. We don't have to change anything else. It's already assuming based off this, the gross potential rent income at $997 per unit for 22 rooms is going to generate us at $263,208. Okay. Less vacancy, which is that 5%. We don't have any other income. So if you take those, that gross potential rent minus less vacancy, your effective gross rent, which is EGI, now you're generating $250,000 of income with this property. Okay, expense ratio total, you're taking away that 50%, assuming that all expenses are going back and being removed from that property. So this is really back in a napkin. You can do this on anything. And now if we take 250 minus the expense ratio of 125, you're going to get a net operating income of $125,000, right? We didn't have any rehab to it because we're assuming that everything it's still intact, right? Now with a 7.5% cap rate, stabilized value is $1.66 million, almost 1.7. So you're probably like, hey, Stan, what do how do you get that stabilized value, right? Stabilized value in multifamily or commercial just means after repair value. Okay, it's how we calculate it is we take the net operating income of 125,000 and we divide it by that cap rate of 7.5, just like this, what the formula says, and we're getting $1.66 million. Now you're also asking, okay, if you're saying that it's 1.66 million and they're asking 2.9 million, how can that be? Right? So something is not matching up, right? But remember, we're assuming this is just an assumption that 50% of those expenses are coming out towards that income. The way that I underwrote it because obviously I already looked at the financials, they're generating at about 31.5%. So at 31.5%, you see how that value now has changed? That value now is at $2.28 million at 31.5%. But when I underwrite, I always underwrite between 40 and 50%. And let's just make it easy today. So it's 50%, right? So now, do I really want to go dive deeper into this property? It's really up to you. But for most times, this should only take you less than 5 minutes to do. Okay. And so what I look for, I plug those numbers in just to get an idea of where this property is at. Okay. So the next thing I do is I go to the formula cheat sheet. Why? Because this does a breakdown of every single function that pretty much you need to know about. Okay. And this is basically like reverse engineering. You can reverse engineer any purchase price, any cap rate, any net operating income. Okay. So if I want to know, remember, what is it telling us earlier? They're asking at $2.9 million. So if I want to know what the cap rate is, okay, I want to know what the cap rate is. The purchase price that they are trying to sell it at is 2.9 million. Okay. But they're selling it at a 7.2 cap rate. Well, how do you do that? Here, because it's black, I'm not gonna change that, so I'm gonna change this to find out what the net operating income is. So if it's telling me it's at a 7.02 and a $2.9 million for the purchase price, look at that. Now we know that 203,580 is their NOI. You see how easy that is? So we got pretty close, 7%, right? It matches up. So use this as a tool for you guys and reverse engineer literally anything on cap rates, net operating income, purchase price of a property. So now what's next? Do I want to go deeper into it? I got the financials, I believe, because I logged in. I'm not logged in right now. But based off of the as is, I'm going to show you guys on here. This is what their numbers are looking like. So they're asking $2.9 million, right? They have 22 units. And you can see on the right side, I think I changed it. Give me a second. There it is. My mouse is not working properly. So on the right side, you can see where it says unit mixes, right? There's 22, there's 13 studios, there's 8 1-bedroom, 1-bath, and there's 1 2-bedroom, 1-bath. So based on the square footage, rent by the month, as is, they're charging about an average of a $980 per room for a studio, $1,000 for a 1-1, and $1,200 for a 2-1. And that averages out for that $997. Remember, we used that $997 as an as is. This is the numbers that they came about, which is about that, it hit about like a 30%. And I think because I don't have vacancies in there. There we go. Vacancy of 5%. So a small, if I forget that, you see how it said 0? It's at 29.83, but because I added vacancy, it's at 31.40. But because I think they're fully occupied, which is why I put the physical vacancy at 0. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Okay, awesome. So based on what I'm telling you guys right now, what do the numbers look like, right? They're advertising at a 7%, but based on what I'm underwriting the numbers based on how I saw it on the spreadsheets, it's coming in at a 6.18. So they're almost a point, off, right? And that could be a big deal, right? I don't know, maybe it's because I put 2% for closing costs. Let's change that. No, doesn't make a difference, right? But let's change it to 1.5 for closing costs, assuming that that's my rate. And then everything else, we're not changing, right? Capital budget stays at 0. We always want to keep in mind capital reserves, because you always want to put money away for a rainy day. The 3 things you always want to consider when underwriting a property is management fees, right? Because you want to get professionally managed. You want to make sure that you have capital expense reserves, which is just that. You're going to put away money for a rainy day. Okay. And then you also want to put away for repairs and maintenance. And that's going to range anywhere between 10 to 20% of your income generated from the property automatically. So I have it right here on the side where how much of that percent is being removed from your actual income, right? It breaks it down. See, so majority of the income majority of the expenses that's being taken out for this property is utilities. That's their biggest expense, next to repairs and maintenance. So the reason why I put this percentage is you can probably find something that's off from just looking at this when you plug it in, saying like, hey, why is this such a high percentage of the income that's being taken out? So that's why I put that percentage in, okay? And then we're just assuming that we're taking a regular loan out on this, okay? 65% is what financing terms right now commercial lenders are kind of lending at on a loan to value. Okay. A loan at 1% is the origination fee. And then they're willing to sell their finance at 5%. So honestly, I don't know what the terms were because I didn't call the broker, right? I didn't do any calling. I just straight up ran the financials and assuming that this is what the numbers would look like. Let's say at 25 years, or let's say 30 years is what he's going to give us. Okay, my exit cap rate is always going to be at 7.5% because we're always going to underwrite conservatively. Okay, and if I want to resell, I'm going to resell at year 5. Year 5 of the property. You don't want to sell a little bit sooner than that unless you're really trying to flip and you have really good rates at that time. But more often than not, that's typical about 5 years. Okay. Most people don't really flip multifamily homes within the first 2 years. They typically just to refinance their investors out. Okay. So by looking at all these numbers, I already have a target of I need to make at least a 14% internal rate of return. I want a minimum of 2% equity multiple, meaning if I put 100,000 in, I want to make double that when I exit. And I want to make at least a 10% cash and cash return. I try to target at least 2 of 3 of these return metrics. And obviously these didn't turn any color. So what does that mean? It doesn't hit any of my targets based off of the price that they're advertising at. This is actually negative. Well, not negative, but there is a very small cash on cash return that I don't like. So this doesn't hit my buy box. Okay. So it's very important that you as an investor, or if you're trying to underwrite for an investor, you follow their buy box. They'll typically tell you what it is. Okay. For a buy box, if you guys want an example, this is a buy box that I always tell you guys is right here. Class B, Class C. My unit counts is 10 to 60 units. Typically, anything more than 60 units, brokers have control of the deal. So that's the reason why when I give this out to my wholesalers or brokers, this is my typical buy box. The state that we're focused in, the submarket of that state, the price range that you're trying to accomplish, right? 10 to 10, a million to 10 million, 50,000 to 100,000 per unit. If you broke it down, I'm looking for a value add. I don't want anything stabilized. I want to stabilize them myself. And I'm shooting for an 8% minimum cap rate going in, right? I'm not trying to look for anything under 7.5, because the rates, the interest rates are high right now. So if I'm looking for something that is at 8%, but then they're advertising at a 5 cap, I'm automatically 3% under. It doesn't make sense for me. All right. So also landlord friendly states, target states that are red states, because they're going to give you probably the better. As a state, they don't have, they're landlord friendly, meaning you're able to evict people out because it's a business. Remember, when you're buying multifamily properties, it's a business. So if someone's not paying, that's income that you're losing. So we typically target, or you can look for these states: Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, Carolinas, Florida. Those are all red states. And then another rule of thumb is no rent regulations. You don't want to be restricted from increasing your rents, just like California and New York, where they can only increase their rents by 1% per year. Right? New York, 1% per year. If I have $500 for current market rents from a seller that hasn't raised their rents in years, and market rents are at $1,000, that's 100% of rental increase. You can't do that in New York. They're not gonna let you. So 2 things that you always want to keep in mind: landlord friendly and no rent regulations. Very important. Okay. Now, let's go back to here. So what do? I wanted to hit my numbers. Where do I have to be? Right? That's the question. How do I change the numbers so it actually does hit my metrics? Where do I need to be? So in here on the pro forma, remember what I said, I need to hit at least 2 of 3 of the targets, right? So what did I do? I changed the price to 2.280, right? $2.2 million. Now, I didn't really change anything else. I just changed the price, right? So remember, we started off at 2.9 million, which is what they're asking for. So something's changed in here. I noticed. Oh, you know what? The property management fees I increased because that's, so they changed the pro forma, they increased it. So that's the reason why now it's going up to almost 35%. Okay. So with the pro forma, future projections, remember, it's just a projection. It's an estimated assumption of what I can get for the property based on the market rents in the area. Okay, at 2.9 million, it's not working out, right? It only cash flows me 5.5%. I'm not trying to do 5.5%. I want to cash flow 10%. Okay, for every $100,000, I want to make $5,000, or I want to make $10,000, but this is only generating 5.5. Okay, so I tried, what was it? 2.280, 2.280. All right. So now our going in cap rate is at 7.44. Okay. If he's seller financing to us, we can negotiate the terms. But remember, if we get the price that we want, he's going to have to get the terms that he needs for it, or vice versa. Right? If we want to give somebody the price, we can negotiate our terms based on what we want. But neither of us can have both. That's just how to play the game. Okay. So if he's seller financing at 5%, let's say we get our price at 2.80, his terms would be 5%. Let's say he wants a big down payment of 35%. So that's why it's LTV of 65. And he's okay with doing a 30-year amortized term. Okay, we're leaving everything else the same. Now we're hitting our target. We hit at least 15.5 on his internal rate of return, but we're also hitting a cash and cash of 10% minimum. Now, that looks really good because right here, what is it saying? That by year 5, my unlevered potential profit would be $1.1 million. And if using the leverage that he's giving us on an interest of 5% for seller finance, we would be making $762,000. But what if, let's say, I wanted to refi out and take care of the seller by year 3? I don't want to wait 5 years. Let's see what it does, right? Boom. Year 3, we're making less on the potential profit, but we're getting our money back a lot sooner, right? We don't have to wait 5 years, but now we're only hitting 1 of 3. Am I okay with making only 9.33% on the cash and cash every year for the next 3 years? Possibly, depending if I have a partner in it that's willing to do the same, right? So by year 3, the stabilized value for the resale would be about 2.5 million, right? So that would be 116,000 per unit, and we would have bought it for 103. Is that really worth it? Maybe, maybe not. So in reality, this is how we typically underwrite properties. Okay, that just goes to show like a small little tweak and small little negotiations can go a long way when you know how to negotiate these type of terms. Okay, so let's put this back to year 5, just so it was clean. Any questions?
I got a quick question. The unlevered, can you go down a little bit?
Yep.
Where you were, the unlevered and levered potential profit. Is that basically unrealized equity because of like
No.
principal pay down, or I mean, what is that?
So basically what it's saying right here, it's unlevered is basically if I was to pay cash, this is what the profit would be, right? But if I leveraged financing, which we are on this case, or this scenario with seller financing, this is what levered means. You're leveraging financing. Based on this, yeah, it actually does take out all the interest and principal payments, because that's already how the formulas are drawn out. But obviously, this is not in consideration of like tax depreciation or bonus depreciation and all that. Cost segregation, those are all extra stuff that you get afterwards. So this formula doesn't calculate that. This only calculates straight up paying off the loan fees, paying off any commissions, right? Any commissions to brokers. Because right now we have a cost of sale at 5%. But if we're only going to pay one side, then that would be 3%, and that changes too. Right? The broker would get about a $80,000 commission at 3% versus at 5%, then it's 134. So this is the cool thing about this calculator, is that it's a lot more advanced than most calculators that you probably would see out there, because they don't take into account, any renovation costs, right? So let's say, for example, I want to throw in another $50,000 for renovation when I buy it. $50,000 is not a lot of work, right? But let's say I had to do 200,000, but I want to do 200,000 in a span of 2 years. Right? Year one, your renovation is going to be completed. Year two, now it gets split up in the capital improvements, but also everything else changes. So a lot of calculators don't have this. And the way that this was built from one of my mentors that I'm actually taking courses from. And this is built as a finance, like a private equity firm would use it for. So it's a lot more in-depth. And that's why there's a lot more data points, but this would give you a lot more accurate information than other spreadsheets. So hopefully that answered your question. I know it's a little long of an answer.
You're good. You're good. I appreciate it, man. Just so that I'm a little bit clear here, that levered potential would be as if I were using like a bank, right?
Yeah. If you're leveraging, correct. You're leveraging finance is really what it is.
Okay, gotcha. And that's profit, clear me up again. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's not including interest payments, right?
That does, because it's already being paid off. Yeah, because this is being paid off. Well, actually, this is only calculating for the principal payments right here. If you double click these cells, it tells you exactly where it's pulling from.
Gotcha, okay.
So the profit
yeah, I see it now. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Dang, this is an awesome calculator, man.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks for answering the question.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. Anybody else?
I had a question.
Yep.
So this calculator is best for up to 60 units, or?
You can use up to, you can use it even for a 4-unit, a 2-unit if you really want to.
What if I want to do like 142 units?
100% it can do it.
Oh,
This
okay.
can do it. Yeah. This is meant for whatever size. It's not meant for like a single family home, but this is more for like, duplex and up.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now you guys understand how to do underwriting. It's very basic. Like I said, once you start using the calculator, it's really just rinse and repeat. You just have to get good at understanding what's what. And if you get confused, double click on the cells so you can kind of backtrack it. Obviously, you're not going to understand a lot of the more complicated formulas. I still kind of don't. That's why I'm taking advanced courses on understanding it better. But building these out, I've built the seller financing portion of it where, obviously, including the loan or not, like these calculations are pretty hard. Like this formula is really, really complicated. Goes over a lot of people's heads. So don't get so stuck on the formulas, just learn how to use the calculator by practicing on it. right? Go out there, create an account with LoopNet and Crexy, find the financials, talk to brokers, and just start plugging it in. What the mistake that I made in the beginning was, taking an hour just to underwrite deals. You shouldn't have to take an hour to underwrite a deal initially. Maybe once you're under contract and you're really wanting to lock the property down with investors, you already have financing in place, and you're for sure that it hits your buy box, then spend that hour going on a deep dive with their financials. But for time's sake, just learn how to do the reverse calculation, which should take you less than 5 minutes. And then from there, go to the multifamily valuation, but still use this calculator to understand how to use it. In here as well, there's this part of the calculator, which is what lenders typically look for on the financing side. And they're going to go off of these 4 constraints, right? LTV, which is loan to value, loan to cost, DSCR, which is that debt service coverage ratio, which basically means combined of your principal and interest, and then your debt yield, right? So this is their protection to make sure that what they're going to be lending you based on the loan terms that they want to give. And more often than not, they go off of what's called loan sizing. So this calculator, which is pretty neat, it connects with the left side of the formula. And what it does is it tells me that based off of the information I've given it, a DSCR loan is more than likely what's going to qualify for this particular property, right? Because of all these maximum loan amounts, a DSCR loan is going to be the less riskiest for them. It's the cheapest. So it's basically telling us that this is what more than likely they'll use, because it does qualify for a DSCR loan, right? If it's 1.25, and that's typically what the standard is right now, is about a 1.25 on a DSCR. That means that they need to generate 25% above their operating expenses on their debt service from their net operating income.
Hey man, could I just ask a question real quick? I'm still, very new to all this, and just the underwriting basis, like it's very, way more than just, like a single family, because I'm definitely, trying to, be on point with my creative stuff. So I just when it comes to actually making your own investments, like versus like, single families and reaching out, is it better to, like, would you rather take on like a ton of single families, or would you rather try to get all this underwriting down and try to get into the multifamily space? Because I see a lot of people on like the 50-50 side, so I'm just still, brand new, and I just, more thoughts on that. Like, would you rather have like,
Sure.
stack on
Yeah.
single families or multifamilies? And
So I always say this in the class, right? That's a good question. Is the same amount of energy that you're applying to find a single family home is the same energy you would apply basically from buying a multifamily home. And I'll tell you why, right? Here's a good thing. Here's an example. I came across Grant Cardone's TikTok yesterday, and he was talking to another investor. He's like, I bought 500 single family doors. When you buy 500 single family doors, guess how much transactions you got to close? 500, right? He bought one multifamily unit that had 500 doors. How much transactions did he close? 1. So in reality, yes, it might sound like you're gonna have more due diligence when it comes to multifamily. Yes, there's gonna be more zeros at the end. But at the end of the day, how much time did he put into buying 500 single family homes, signing 500 different contracts versus a 500 unit multifamily property? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So,
yeah.
and you had to underwrite 500 different single family homes versus just one. 500 unit. All I gotta do is change this unit count to 500 and it's gonna give it to me. So it's really up to you. Every investor has their own preference. I myself would rather do multifamily just because one, there's a lot of benefits with multifamily, right? If I have out of 100 doors, if 20% leaves, I still got 80% of the property being paid for by my tenants. If I have a single family living in the house, if they leave, that's 100% vacancy. Who's gonna pay that mortgage? I have to cover it because I don't have a tenant. So it's really up to you, and the hard part is just kind of changing that mindset over and figuring out what do you feel like you're going to be passionate about, right? You as an investor, because the multifamily space is fun, bro. Like everybody knows, a lot of people know in the multifamily space is a relationship business, and it's all about teamwork. It's not. That's the fun part about multifamily is like people get it. You know, you need to build a good team to take down multifamily deals. You can do a solo, but it's not going to be easier. You know, you're going to want to get a solid team that knows how to do financing, knows how to do underwriting. You'll have your GC and rehab team in place, and you have your property management company in place. So it's a lot of connecting the dots. But that's the part about multifamily is that you can grow a lot faster and it's valued a lot different than a single family home. Does that help answer your question?
Yeah, above and beyond. Thank you so much. It's crazy. There's only 12 people in here, but I'm getting more value than So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. Cool. Anybody else?
You actually, oh, sorry. I think I was
Go
stepping
ahead.
on. You've
Justin?
probably been asked this like a million times already, but where do we get access to the spreadsheet?
Let me paste it again. You come in late?
Yeah, I apologize, man.
No worries. I just dropped it in the chat.
You are the man.
You're welcome.
Which numbers are specific to the market that you're in?
Which numbers are specific to the market I'm in?
Yeah, because like I think you said like this was like in Nevada, in Las Vegas, in I forget what you said, Clark County, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
So like the cap rate is going to be specific for this market, I think. Or
Yeah, so class C's typically trade at about 7.5%. And then if once you start entering like a class B, they trade anywhere between like 5.5 to about 7, maybe 6.5. And then once you get to the class A's, which is like your luxury class A's are the ones that institutional private equity groups go after, like the bigger guys. Those are class A's. Those typically trade anywhere between 3.5 to about 5.5%. So
Hey.
those are the guys that really just park their money into the property.
Hey, Stan, my final question is like, when you're speaking to brokers or agents, how do you, I guess, how do you set yourself apart when having a conversation with them?
Just asking the right questions. Typically, if you're going to talk to a broker, the main things you want to get out of the way is, are they, what's the price that they want? Aside from price, what else is important to them, right? That's what you want to ask them. Are they open to seller financing? Let me give you guys actually a sheet. Give me a second. Since you actually mentioned that, I'll make it easy for you guys. I actually wrote them down. And this is what's going to help you guys set apart, because if you ask these questions, and I got this questions from Carlos Salguero. Okay, he actually gave us this. Give me a second. Questions. Here we go, found it. Okay, I'm gonna create another sheet for you guys, since you guys all stayed. So I appreciate your guys' time. I know you guys could be anywhere else on a Friday, but you guys are here chilling with me on this, so thank you. Give you guys an extra bonus. All right. And I'm gonna drop this as content too for my Instagram. So if you guys haven't been following me yet or are not following me, do me a favor, send me a follow. I'm gonna put it on here on the side chat. That's both IG and TikTok. I'm gonna do short form content with stuff like this. So it helps you guys answer some questions, and hopefully that'll give you guys some value. But here's just some questions to ask commercial brokers. Okay, so what does the seller want other than price? Is the seller willing to seller finance? Is there an assumable loan? And if so, what are the terms of the loan? And if I do everything the seller wants, can I get awarded the property? Right? It's kind of like in that order. You don't necessarily have to bring up seller finance, but I usually just try to get it out of the way, because right now in the market, seller financing is what's winning. Okay, so when did the property last sell and for how much? Have you sold to them before or for them? And if yes, how did they structure the deal? You know, how is the location of the deal? How would you rate it? What is the real net operating income you are underwriting? Okay, hold on. Actually, let me give it to you guys so you guys have it. Sorry. There you go. All right. Is this seller a market seller? Meaning, you know, are they just trying to put it on the market just to see who's going to get the higher bid, or are they serious about selling? Or meaning it's kind of like, are they really motivated, right? That's basically what it's asking. You know, how are you underwriting debt on this property? If they're putting any type of financing, what's the debt going to be at? Like loan to value, is it 65, 75%, blah, blah, blah. You know, what do you like the most about the deal? What do you like the least about the deal? What else do you have listed, upcoming or off market? You always want to ask that. That's a very important question I like to ask too, especially even sellers, is like, do you have any other properties that you're looking to sell? Even on the leasing side, when I talk to brokers, like if that particular property, I always remind them like, hey, do you have any other properties that you might know of that you can point me in the right direction? Because those simple questions, you know, sometimes people forget unless you bring it up, right? And what is the whisper price? Somebody mentioned that last week, right?
That was me.
That was you, yeah. So Mason asked last week, what is the whisper price? And that's kind of like a lingo within the commercial space that basically is like, hey, tell me what they're gonna really sell it for. It's kind of like that. What is the whisper price? And if they have one, they usually say, hey, you know, yeah, obviously it's listed for 2.9, but they're willing to get like 2.7 from it. Right? They won't advertise it, but if you're a broker, if you have a relationship with that broker, they're going to give you the scoops. And who is your ideal buyer? You know, they'll give you an idea of like what they really want to find on the broker side. How many offers do you think you'll get? Do you already have a favorite offer? Right? Because they're going to get a lot of offers. And if one stands out and you have a relationship, they'll tell you. And then how do I get this deal awarded to me if I've never worked with, or if you've never worked with me before? All right, these are the questions. Most of them are from Carlos. I added like the 2 or 3 above, but that's the questions you want to ask. Now you have like a template of the questions to ask a broker if you guys are going to talk to one directly. All right.
Actually, I just have a quick point. So I had a deal in Dana Point, California that came to me. It was a property that the guy was trying to sell for like 3.2 million. This was in like a really nice neighborhood, blah, 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 blah. And we took it down, like Carlos talked to the seller yesterday. It just turned out that the seller couldn't do a creative deal because the property was in a trust and it was just gonna be too much hassle for him. I mean, too much, I mean, he's gonna be paying $900,000 in capital gains, so I don't know how much trouble he was really looking at, but either way, the point is, I went and met this guy and I had a few phone conversations with him and asked a lot of questions and had really good conversations with him. And he was considering our offer first before all these other people and developers that were coming in because he liked us because we created a relationship with him. You know what I mean? And so if the terms had been right, if we had been, you know, maybe a little bit closer to what he was looking for, you know, maybe it might have been a deal. I don't know. But the point is, like, we created a relationship with him and, you know, he liked us. So, and it really went a long way because he had already had some offers that he was looking at, but he gave us an opportunity, you know, he gave us a chance to pitch him and, you know, it was good. It was a good learning experience, but fortunately it didn't go through just because of the guy's, you know, the guy just didn't have the motivation really. I mean, he could sit on the property if he wanted to and just rent it. And he had cash in mind and he, you know, because it's in a trust, it was going to be a big issue, I guess. But
Right.
he sat there and listened to us and had a conversation with us and gave us the opportunity before everyone else because of that relationship. So
Yeah, it's all about relationships, man. And if you do enough deals with a certain person, with a certain broker, they're gonna be willing to give you the deal first, especially if you can close.
yep.
Yeah, so appreciate you sharing that. That's very important. My biggest thing for you guys, if you don't have the network yet, go out and network. Like there's multifamily networking events every single week. That's how I met Andrew this past Wednesday. Right, and he's brand new to the scene. He's never got into real estate investing. He's never got into commercial, but you know, small little networking events like that, you know, goes a long way. I've been networking for a very long time, just in the last 15 years, just from being in nightlife. I'm always all constantly networking, but then once I started doing real estate, I didn't really know a lot of people in the commercial space, and I had to go out and network. So it's like, if you don't do that, you're not building relationships, you're not going to get really far in this space. Like coming to this is already networking too, right? You can network in the side chat if you guys are, you know, whatever state you guys are in, right? We got Texas, we got Florida, we got Vegas, we got California in here, and anybody else that's in other states. So if you guys can, we're coming up on the hour, I mean, at 4:30, but bring somebody next week. You know, you guys always know every single Friday I do this 3 p.m. PST. If you guys can do me a favor, just share it with somebody, one person. You don't have to share it to your entire community, but just bring one person, see if they want to learn underwriting, or if you know somebody that wants to understand basic underwriting, bring them to this class. You know, just get it out there.
I don't know like what kind of deal Carlos has with like Pace. I know he'll post his stuff in JJ's group. And also I think I've seen stuff posted in sub 2 as well, at least in the free community. But I would be down to post this in sub 2 all day long. If they're not, I don't know what their deal is with sub 2, but
yeah, I never really asked, to be honest.
Yeah,
but we could try it. I think it probably might be better.
You just gotta be careful. You know what I mean? You just gotta be careful. But as long as it's like, I'm sure Pace doesn't have a problem. Carlos is a sub 2 student and like, I know Carlos knows Pace and, you know, if it's helping Pace's students and helping Powerhouse students, I don't know why it like would be a problem.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a sub 2 as well. We might have to ask Molly, or Carolyn.
Yeah.
And just verify. I don't really like to promote, myself, but, in sub 2, it's just more of like word of mouth. If somebody else paces it, it might be better, but who knows? Just bring it up. I appreciate you mentioning that.
Actually, yeah, you know what? I'll hit up Carolyn and see what she says.
Yeah, because I know they do. I think if you've seen Pace's announcement today, they found an underwriter that they're bringing on next week, Wednesday.
Yeah, yep.
So that's something that, and then he did mention that they're having classes on Saturday with Munif and all these other guys that are doing it on Saturdays, but what if somebody wants to come on Friday? So it's cool.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Look, more the better. You
Yeah.
know, it's good to hear other people's methods and hear other people's, strategies with this stuff. There's the problem with underwriting that I've run into is that there's no standard for it. There's
There's
no
not.
standard.
There's not, and I know Pace is trying to create that standard. He'll do
Yeah.
it for the community, but we'll see how it goes, and it would be nice. And that was the
Yeah.
hard part in the beginning when I first started underwriting myself, is that I couldn't figure out why there wasn't one. And I just
Yeah.
really had to figure it out on my own. Like the calculators, they're all different. They're all built
All of
different,
them. Yep.
right? So like even mine is built from an institutional analyst that has over 10 years of experience working for the biggest firms. He built this model. I just added extra shit to it that I like, because
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
doesn't perform on the seller financing creative side. I just added all those extra tools for us so you guys can utilize that, because obviously Carlos does creative financing as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Could I ask you a quick question on the cash on cash return calculation? So I'm trying to figure out, I've got my own doc that I've created based on, just like you, I based it on some other people's spreadsheets that they've built out. But I'm trying to let's just say on the single family, just keep it simple on the single family side. Like if you're trying to calculate cash on cash return, you want to look at your net income after expenses and paying the seller per month, right? You multiply that by 12, so you get a year. So you get your net income for a year, right? And then the calculation or the formula that I got was like, so you get that net income per year. So net income per month times 12. So essentially your net income for a year. And then times 100 divided by your total entry cost. Does that make sense?
No, the easiest way to do
I
it is
didn't
just
think
take,
so. It didn't
it's-
sound
it's
right
take-
to me.
it's take your money that you initially invested, let's say it's 100,000, and
Yeah,
you divide it by the purchase price, let's say it's 1,000,000. Now you got 10%.
yeah, money. So
That's-
money. So maybe
Money
a
invested.
better way to
Yeah, it's money invested divided by purchase price.
by purchase. So maybe another way to say that would be like entry fee divided by purchase price.
Yeah, if
Total
you wanna do that.
entry fee. In other words,
Sure.
total money.
Yeah,
invested.
if you're doing it for the sub two, like the single family, yeah, you can do that entry fee divided by purchase price.
Okay. That's what I thought. Somebody posted like this weird calculation. I'm like, that doesn't sound right, because I'm getting
Well-
all kinds of weird numbers from that.
Yeah,
That would-
because the reason why that might not work too, because think about it, if you do an entry fee, it's not. It can kind of go both ways, because you're assuming that you have your wholesale fee in there, which is technically what your money invested, but that's money
Yeah.
not invested towards the property. It's a fee that you're paying somebody else. So technically, it doesn't really count, but
Yeah.
who's to say, you can, it's really up to you. I don't really account for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's money. I guess you're, because that money comes out of after closing. Well, I mean, it's still money out of your coming out of your
You can use it.
pocket
I mean,
or out of your loan.
yeah,
Yeah.
technically it is
I see
invested.
what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying though. Yeah, cool. All right. I appreciate that.
Yep, you're welcome. All right, guys, let's close up. I'll see you guys next week. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and when I see you guys back next week, hopefully you guys can bring somebody else here, share the knowledge with them. All right.
Yeah, I want, like I said, I'm gonna post it in sub 2 and see if we can get like a gang of people over here.
Yeah, let's do it. I appreciate it. Thanks, Justin. All right,
Alright,
guys.
thanks,
You
Dan.
guys have a wonderful weekend. Later.